I want to spend a few minutes in this video talking to you about my brand new Spyderco Native 5 salt knife. Before I get to that, let me give you a brief history of these other knives that I own, which led me to this knife. So first of all, I needed a knife for my boat. It's a power boat. It's, 27 feet or so. Not a huge boat, but it's also not a sailing boat. Generally, you're going to want to have a knife on the boat, basically to cut away from things. And generally that means a rope. I have a knife that's on the boat. It's sort of a safety knife. It's underneath a back seat. It's in a box, not readily accessible. And it's actually a little too unwieldy to sort of keep handy. The reason I bought it was because, these other knives that I have are just not going to fit the bill. I have this Leatherman knife. This is you're never going to put this on a boat. It's not a marine tool. And frankly, that knife is almost useless. Somebody years ago gave me this little PECK cricket, pocket knife. This is actually called a Delilah's Prism or something like that. Again, that's not a knife you're going to put on a boat. This, however, is a knife you would put on the boat. This is the Gerber Remix. I bought it in a boat store thinking, oh, okay, now I've got a serious knife that's going to help me do some stuff on the boat in case I need to. And I actually did use it one time. I mean, somebody got their fishing line caught in my propeller. I had to whip this out at one point and cut the line. So, I mean, it was handy. I keep it right by the captain's chair, that kind of a thing. But I like it because it's got this ring in here. It gives you a lot of control. What I don't like about it is I didn't like the sort of this corrosion, this discoloring that kind of went on through here. It doesn't really impact the knife, but the way the knife operates. But I thought, okay, well, it is supposed to be for a boat, and I would have thought it would stay a little shinier and less mucked up than it did. But the real problem with this is there's no way to use this single-handed. It's got a little nub here to try to open it. I can't open it. I thought it was just me at first. I thought, oh, I'm just too much of a weakling. I looked at all kinds of YouTube videos, basically even like real knife guys complain that this thing's super hard to open. They've done oiling, they've done loosening of this. Basically, everybody still complains about it. The other thing is this liner lock has ceased to work. So, I mean, right now, this thing doesn't lock at all. So I'm like, okay, now I've got a knife that maybe doesn't really retain its shine. Not that the shine's all that important on the, when it uses it, it may corrode further than it does. I can't open it with one hand. It doesn't really lock. So then I did some Googling. I came across this Spyderco Native 5 Salt. Now, the Native 5 is a model that Spyderco apparently has had around for years and years and years, maybe decades. I mean, a really long time. Very, very popular model. The salt designation is basically to tell everybody, hey, this thing will be resistant to salt water. Now, my boat's in fresh water, so it doesn't really matter to me, but I figure if it's treated well enough to, resist rust and corrosion in salt water, then it should be good enough out on Lake Michigan. Super light. I like the little plastic handle because it's easy to grab. I mean, nothing's going to slip on this. I mean, if you're wet, you don't want to have, a knife handle that's going to be slippery. The best part of all, though, is I can absolutely operate this single-handed. Easily flips open. No problem. It easily will close. You just have to do the release, and then just you can use your thumb and close it. So again, super easy to open. Press on the little lock. It drops it, kind of unlocks it, and then you can kind of swing it shut. It's got a nice little belt holder or belt clip or whatever you want to call it. It's got a nice hole for a lanyard. I think this design originally didn't have it and they kind of added it recently, but that's all kind of cool. Now, the one caveat to this blade is super, super, super sharp. There it is. These knives have sharp blades, but this one's like freaking razor sharp. You got to really pay attention because if you don't, you're going to do what I did, which is cut your little pinky finger the first day you get the knife. So, when I got the knife, I was showing it to the wife, she's like, what is that? And I'm like, well, this is a new knife. And I was like, look, it's very lightweight. It's, saltwater resistant. It's got these little, ridges here so you can actually move your thumb and forefinger, still get some good control on it. It's got serrated. So, in case I have to cut away from rope, I'm pretty much digging this knife. And she said, well, that back locking mechanism where it releases, that seems dangerous, and I was like, well, don't you worry, honey. As long as you're paying attention, you're going to be fine. And let's face it, it's a sharp knife. So you have to pay attention. Yeah, not 10 minutes later, there I was opening and closing the knife right at my desk. I went to close it and I just wasn't paying attention. My little finger was kind of in here somewhere. I don't even know. But when you get the knife to a certain point, the thing will just clunk close, which is exactly what it did. And my pinky was in the way. I got a pretty good sizable cut there on my finger just from not paying attention. It bled a lot. Be careful with these knives. But anyway, I like this knife. I'm going to keep it. It's going on the boat. Yeah, it was an expensive knife, but at least this knife seems to be a keeper, and it's actually really, really usable right out of the box. Not like this or these other ones. There it is.